sit, enjoy in the shade.
Hey, brother, pour the wine.
Drink the drink that I have made.
Hey, brother, pour the wine.
Welcome, everybody, to a very special episode of Drink in the Style, brought to you by 9 Mile Gallery, 9 Mile Gallery Event Space, and Habitation Design, all located at the luscious District Edina. I'm your host, Gregory Rich, and tonight's theme is photography, art, creativity, and incongruously enough, spiritualism. Give me a second and I'll get back to you on that one. I am absolutely thrilled. I am thrilled to tell you that my guest, legend, a man who has seen and documented the American experience with an unparalleled eye. I am sitting here with the truly great Adger Cowans. Adger, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a good intro? Was it a good intro?
Yeah, very good.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It just wrote itself. It really did. Now, you guys know that I am a proponent of alcohol's ability to inspire creativity, and it just so happens that the other night, Adger and I were having a few drinks over dinner, talking about his work, and for whatever reason, I asked if he's ever engaged with a psychic, and to my amazement, his answer was no. So he did say he was up for it, and we have brought in, and in a few moments, I will be introducing Minneapolis's foremost psychic, Ruth Lordan. She's coming into the conversation and going to be cutting up Adger's psyche, his spirituality, his existence, and pretty much everything else that there is. Until that second segment, Ruth is with us, watching and learning. Ruth, I'm glad you're here with us.
Thank you.
It's going to be very, very cool. All right. Must have cocktails. This is Drink in the Style. I spoke with Adger while we have had a little bourbon to warm ourselves up this afternoon. The primary drink we're going to be making is a summer staple, something that everybody seems to love these days, the Aperol Spritz. Now, the Aperol Spritz is essentially 3 different ingredients: Prosecco, Aperol, and club soda. And what's beautiful is you can actually make this as boozy or non-boozy as you might like. So in this case, I'm going to use more or less equal parts of each. And we're going to walk you right through this. Johnson, do you still have the old mixing music we used to use?
Yeah, let me see if I can crank it out of the tape machine and cut the tape up and hit the record. No, we got to go. It's ready to go, yes.
Hit our mixing music. All right, we have selected for our Prosecco, La Vostra, a well-priced $14 bottle of champagne at Eden Prairie Liquor Store, if you will. We're going to pop that one. Here comes the sound.
Ooh,
Lovely.
That's beautiful.
Right? Then we have our Aperol. Again, it's standard. If you don't have any Aperol in your bar, you really don't know what you're doing. It's got to be thrown in. And frankly, when you're entertaining the ladies, not to be sexist in any way, no lady has ever said no to an Aperol Spritz. Incidentally, on that same note, if you ever have a friend who divorces, buy him a bottle of Tuaca. Tuaca is a very sweet Italian liqueur that I've never met a woman who didn't like it. So as he's going back out into the world, he needs to have that in his liquor cabinet. Adger appreciates that. All right, so I have the glasses. I am adding a third, roughly, of Prosecco. And Johnson, since I'm doing the mixing today, be sure to fill in any dead sounds with a little chatter for me.
Well,
yeah?
I liked your little public service announcement before. That's what this show is for, not just drinking and having great conversation. There is a public service aspect to the show, so
it's an educational
very important
program.
that it does reach those or meet those FCC requirements that we have to provide a public service as a public radio station.
You know, seriously, I'm a giver.
So you're there to help, yeah.
I do
we
what I
appreciate
can.
That, so.
I do what
Anyone
I
who's
can.
going through divorce, make sure you listen to this.
Grab a bottle of Tuaca. Trust me, just trust me.
And now we need that little NBC sound. Do 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 do. The more you know.
Right? Oh, yeah, exactly, with the flying star. All right, so we've got our cocktails basically mixed. I will admit, you are normally supposed to garnish an Aperol Spritz with an orange. However, number 1, I did not have an orange. Number 2, as someone once said, we are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of the dream. Therefore, we can do whatever the hell we want, and in this case, I've chosen to add strawberries. All right, there it is, Aperol Spritz, Adger.
I like the voice cracking there, too.
Thank you, thank you. It's puberty. I'm excited about it. I hear good things.
Lovely.
All right. Do you enjoy it? Is it?
Lovely.
It is. It's a beautiful summer cocktail. All right, there it is. I'll have a sip. Salud. Don't forget our swallowing music. And delish. Absolutely delish, right?
Delish.
It's practically soda pop.
Almost.
Almost. With a kick. All right, there it is. So, here we are, drinking the style. Adger Cowans. I do want to point out, Adger is in Minneapolis as part of a kind of a joint effort by 9 Mile Gallery, but more importantly, the University of Minnesota. Now, the U of M has a good deal of Adger's work in its archives, and they were gracious enough to put some of it on display at 9 Mile Gallery. And then we did have this week Adger in for an event, so it has been absolutely astonishing. But let's fill in the blanks. Adger, if you had to give a 30-second overview of your career, how would you do it?
I came, I saw, I worked.
Oh, I like that a lot. That is brilliant. That's brilliant. I actually just saw a meme this morning. It said, I came, I saw, I forgot why I came. I walked away. So you have been, I mean, I should give a bio, obviously. Since the 1960s, you have been taking photos behind the scenes in major motion pictures, at stadium events. You were the first black photographer really given access to that type of an environment, correct?
Yes, so I was first African-American voted into the International Cinematographers Union, Local 600.
How did that come about?
Well, actually, it was quite by accident. I had been invited to meet with Sidney Poitier. He was looking for a photographer to work on a film that he was doing, and I went there, and he looked at my portfolio, and about halfway through, he closed the book and walked out of the room. Well, I didn't know why he closed the book and walked out of the room, but I found out later it was a picture of Diana Carroll. And so he didn't come back, and I was sitting there, and his producer, Joel, came in and said that he had probably some feelings about the photograph because they had worked on a movie together in Paris called Paris Blues, and he'd been engaged to her at the time. So I guess he was, anyway, there I was, sitting in the room alone, wondering
confused.
why he had walked out. And Joel came in and said, I have a friend who's getting ready to do a picture with the first black director, Ossie Davis. He said, and I want you to go and see this guy. And I said, yeah, I heard that before. He said, no, I'm serious. Oh, this guy, he was working on a picture called Cotton Comes to Harlem with Ossie Davis. And I worked on that picture, and about halfway through the picture, somebody said, there's a union. And I said, well, I don't really care to join a union. I make a good living traveling all over the world taking pictures. But I liked working on the movie set. So he said, there are no black people in the union. And I said, well, let me see if I can work this in.
Suddenly, yeah.
So I applied, and they voted. And after the voting, one of the union reps, or not one still... I guess he wasn't still. He was a camera guy, and he called me. His name was Joe Coffey, and he called me. He said, Adger, I just want you to know I broke the tie. He said it was a tie. He said, I broke the tie, so you're in the union now.
Really?
Yeah.
So 50% of the union did not want a black person in it is essentially the case.
Well, the business is very nepotistic.
Everything in Hollywood is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you did get in, and you did wind up doing some. Talk about, this is the perfect place to name drop, so please drop some names. Who have you photographed?
Oh, a lot. A lot.
I've seen some of your work, Mick Jagger and
Mick
Jane
Jagger,
Fonda.
Jane Fonda, Henry Fonda, Katharine Hepburn, just about most of the major movie stars in Hollywood I photographed.
Throw you a few names. You ready? Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah, wonderful. Wonderful person. She's the kind of person that is understanding of everybody that works on a movie. Some stars are concerned about, just the people close to them. But I think a lot of the old movie stars understand that working on a movie involves everybody. And she had that kind of feeling. She was great.
They say she was an absolute. I mean, she was in World War II. She was distributing food, I think, I once read. So.
She was a great person. I really liked her.
And as beautiful in person as she appears on screen.
Most definitely.
How about, Frank Sinatra?
I never worked with Frank Sinatra.
No, really?
Nope.
None of the Rat Pack? No Sammy Davis? No,
I photographed
Dean
Sammy Davis Jr. in New Jersey when he did a show.
Okay.
I wasn't too crazy about him because, picture of him hugging Nixon.
That's a fair point.
But I went over there to see him. It was a job to photograph him, and I met him, and I was like, yeah, okay. He said, I'm a photographer. I said, don't use the day job, man. Don't lose your day job.
That's
But he had some nice photographs. Anyway, the show started, and he got up on stage, and he was a fantastic entertainer. He had people in the palm of his hand. And so when he came off the stage, I was just, okay. I dropped all my I don't like you to you're fantastic. I love you.
I love that gold pendant. It's amazing. You look great.
He was a great entertainer, and he just had a great, way about handling himself on the stage, And so then I changed my mind, and I liked him a lot.
Fair enough. You surveyed, you forgave him for the Nixon experience.
Yeah. Faye Dunaway was a wonderful person to work with. Okay. I did 2 pictures with Faye Dunaway. Michelle Pfeiffer was wonderful to work with. I worked with, what's his name? He played Zorba the Greek.
Anthony Quinn.
Anthony Quinn was wonderful, a really great guy. He would be telling jokes to us on the set, so and so, and I happened this and I did that. And they say, hey, Tony, you're on the camera. He'd snap right out of it and do the character, just beautiful. And he'd come right back. Where was I? So, yes.
Seriously.
And a lot of the older actors, for me, I really liked because of their consciousness about working and how movies are really difficult. They're not easy. You only shoot a few, a few seconds, and maybe, I think a can of film, a full load, 1,000 feet, only lasts about 12 minutes. Mm-hmm. So you're shooting in sections, and then you put it all together. But the older actors are really great. Henry Fonda, I really loved Henry Fonda. He was really just a great person.
What about Cary Grant? Ever do anything?
Cary Grant, I never worked with Cary Grant.
He's kind of my idol.
More people around my age, I guess. Or not around my age, but
I guess he was a generation
I'd
before.
say from the 60s to the 80s, most of the people in that period of time I worked with.
Fair. So
Robert Redford, wonderful guy. I liked him a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Paul
There's
Newman?
only one person
Go ahead.
in my whole career, and I will not mention her name, that I would never want to work with again. Some people are just people. They're actors and they're people. And then there are other people, they're actors. They're not people, they're actors, and you have to approach them, on their high level. But I think for the most part, the better actors for me are really conscious of themselves as human beings.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and by the way, I'm going to ask Ruth later who that person that you won't name is, because I'm sure she's already aware. What advice, so when you go in and you approach a project and you're going to take a picture, one of the things a photographer has to do is kind of get that person potentially into the right mood or the right frame, right pose, because some of the stuff, of course, is going to be ad hoc or, in process. Some of it is going to be stop, turn, look.
Right.
As a photographer, what are you looking for from your subject?
Well, the first thing I do when I get on the set is I talk to each person and say, I'm your still photographer. If there's anything that I'm doing that you don't like or you have a question with, talk to me. Call, talk to me. Mm-hmm. And I found that is the best way to work with people. Let them know who you are, first of all. Mm-hmm. So that when you're working with them, they have an idea of who you are. And there's less, problems, because some actors, when they're actually emoting, they don't want you to photograph them. And sometimes those are the best moments. But I found that letting people know who you are before you go to work with them, rather than coming in cold, really works in terms of them seeing you, taking pictures. And sometimes you ask them to do a certain thing, turn a certain way or this or that. But I just find that letting them know who you are when you first come on the set that first day and that first week is very important.
Gives them a level of comfort.
Yeah.
Unquestionably. It's wonderful. So looking back, and I kind of hate to ask this question because it's a little trite, but I'm going to do it anyway. What would you say are like the top 2 or 3 shoots that you are proud of? And then who do you wish you could have shot that you didn't?
On Golden Pond.
Okay.
Was a great film to work on.
Hepburn
And The Cotton Club with Francis Ford Coppola's director. Those were 2 films that I think I really enjoyed working on very much.
Okay.
The crew, the people, the actors, everybody involved,
So what about who you wish you could have had a chance to?
I wish I'd had a chance to work with Gordon Parks.
Well, that's fair. Well, I mean, you were...
on his first movie, he wanted me to work on it. And he called me and asked me, he said, I want you to work on this movie with me. But then I started a picture, and he said, well, I don't know when we're going to start. I said, well, I got this picture, with Faye Dunaway. He said, well, if I were you, I would take it. So I did, and then a week later, they started to film Lead Belly, which I really wanted to work on that picture.
Really? And
Yeah.
you just didn't have the chance?
Never had a chance.
Yeah, we can't always win,
Missed
I
that one,
suppose.
yeah.
So as a photographer, I mean, I asked you this, I think, a little bit before. We talked about, you're looking through a lens. You almost live through that lens, right? And are you interpreting what you see as 2-dimensional or as 3-dimensional?
I don't think about that.
No.
I only think about the emotion involved. I'm trying to capture the emotion that I see that will read through all the technical stuff and touch people.
Just cutting down to capture the essence.
Yes,
of something
most
that's
definitely,
there.
yes.
And how do you do that? I mean, how do you bring that through?
Well, I think that for me, I used to rehearse with my camera. I would pick it up and focus and do the shutter so that I didn't have to think about that. I didn't have to look down and adjust the camera before I took a picture. I already knew where I was going with that so that I could go from here to and click the shutter. So that's a process of understanding more about your emotion, what you feel, because the eyes only see. It's the heart that feels. So I try to capture, here, and hook this up with this so that that timing, get into that exact moment that really reads emotionally.
And that is what you excel at. I mean, it's what you're constantly
Well, I
known
think
for.
that's what most photographers work for, that moment that says everything. I don't like to write words on the pictures. I think that's a bust.
Should speak for itself?
Yeah, the picture should say what it is that you're trying to say. The emotion should be there. You don't have to write dog or talking on a table, bird in flight.
How about like melancholy dog sitting at a table?
Melancholy,
I mean,
yeah, right.
bring out
Well,
the
the
emotion.
melancholy should be in the photograph.
Exactly. And it does. I mean, that's the beauty of it. You convey so beautifully what is happening. So part of what is so amazing about your work is, as I said, you have captured moments of mid-century America that are iconic, right? And they're rare.
Yes.
Nowadays, though, how do you feel about cell phones and pictures being taken everywhere at all times at every moment?
Well, I think it's the person behind the instrument that makes it work. No matter what you're using, whether you're using a cell phone, electronic, whatever. I do feel that the photographers that are coming up today do not have the feeling about a particular moment. They just, because the camera is automatic and you can just press the button and shoot 20 pictures in a second. A lot of younger photographers are shooting that way. They're not hunting. They're not looking for those moments that really count. They're just in hope in those 20 pictures that they shoot, there's one that they can use.
Yeah.
Rather than consciously, working to get that photograph or those 2 or 3 photographs that are going to work at that moment. So it's just a different way of working. Electronics, in some ways, has made it easier, but it's also made it more difficult. Mm-hmm. Because you really have to be conscious of the tool that you're using and careful not to just put your finger on the button and shoot 1,000 pictures.
Right. So it's a loss of some of skill within photographers, loss of a skill
Yes, I
set.
think so. Younger photographers don't know anything about darkroom, most of them.
Yeah.
It's all electronic, but pressing buttons to make an image, as my friend calls it, electronic images, a photograph is not an electronic image, electro image is different.
There's shadows that you just can't catch in ones and zeros that you pick up on the film.
Yeah, and you can get all the technical information sometimes in an electronic image, but so what?
Yeah.
How do you move things around? When you work in the darkroom, you have a negative. You can dodge, and that's a physical thing. You can expose for a certain amount of time, but electronically, you're working with electric energy. The image is different.
Mm. You hit the nail on the head. That resonates. The energy is different.
Yeah.
It is. It's just vacant. It's vacuous, right?
Mm-hmm.
Compared to having something on film that you are actually physically drawing off of the paper. Mm-hmm. What about? Okay, so you've spoken about kind of the spiritual aspects of your work. How do you think that perspective kind of, is it a form of meditation? Is it a form of engagement that you can't find elsewhere? How does spirituality impact what you're doing?
Well, it's not so much spirituality as spirit itself. We all carry spirit in our bodies. We all radiate 7 colors around our body. That energy is going out and coming in all the time. You're an electronic being. And I said this the other day, when you meet somebody for the first time and they give you a cold fish hand, you have a feeling. Mm-hmm. Sometimes if it's an important person, you don't pay attention to that. You say, oh, that person's rich, I want to get something from them. You don't realize you just cold fish hand, but you always feel it, like, ugh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And you meet that person and you don't like them. You don't know why, but you just don't like them. And then another person, same, you never met before, they give you a handshake, and already you like them. There's a bonding when you shake their hand. There's a feeling that's transferred that's positive, and you feel that.
Yeah. That works. I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
And we'll talk, and Ruth will unravel that for us in a moment or two, because we're going to take a quick break in a second or two. We'll come back and introduce Ruth. But before we do take that break, I want to ask you one simple question. What was your first camera?
Well, the first camera when I was a kid was a Bosch Brownie.
Was it a Brownie?
Brownie, right. Everybody, Kodak made America a picture-taking society.
With the Brownie.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And everybody had a Brownie, I was 10 years old, I had a Brownie, But the first camera that I got, that I worked with, I got a roller cord.
I don't know what that is.
A roller cord is a reflex camera, 2 1/4.
Okay.
I don't know if I should tell this story.
Yes. Whenever that question comes up, yes, you should tell that story.
When I was coming on, they had just started the process where you could buy something on time.
Okay, yes, credit.
And I went downtown to the major Lazarus store, and I signed my father's name. His name is Adger Cowans, and mine was Adger Wilbur Cowans. So I bought a hi-fi set, and I bought a roller cord camera, and I signed his name. Well, of course, they delivered a week later, and my father had a fit. I mean, he just,
How ferocious was the beating?
It was about $400, the camera and the hi-fi set. Back in the 50s, man, he was like...
That's a car! Well, not quite, but
you could buy a car for that.
Yeah, probably, I suppose.
You could almost buy a house. And so, of course, my father was, he was a livid man, And I told him, I'll pay you back. I was a paper boy. And so my mother said, oh, honey, she kept him off me.
Just all you saw was the rage in the eyes.
I think that winter for Christmas, I got $80 in tips.
Holy shit.
And, I was a really good paper boy. I was conscious that if it was raining, I'd put the paper in the door. If it was snowing, I'd wrap it in plastic. I was a really good paper boy.
Good for you.
And my customers liked me. I mean, that's how I really began working with people and understanding people. Mm-hmm. I was a paper boy.
I had 3 paper routes when I was a kid, simultaneously.
Yeah.
I subcontracted 2 of them to my friends in elementary school and took the shortest one. I was very proud of myself for that.
Yeah, smart move.
Yeah, well, what can I say?
Yeah,
there wasn't a time I could sign my father's name to something and just walk away. All right. Well, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to explore Adger's creativity with Ruth Lordan. You guys are going to absolutely love this segment, so go refill your glass and join us back here in just a moment or two. This is Drink in the Style on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Welcome back to Drink in the Style. I'm your host, Gregory Rich. My guest tonight is living legend Adger Cowans. But the time has come to bring in Minneapolis psychic, well-known, well-respected, Ruth Lordan is here. Ruth, how are you?
I'm amazed. This is going to be so fun. I'm like, duh, I'm blown away. Someone I actually can respect.
I mean, it's true. I mean, yes, it's fabulous, and I'm so happy that you're here. I should give some background. So, Ruth is a 5th generation plus natural-born psychic based in the Twin Cities. Her professional experience spans more than 50 years. She's been doing regular readings since she was a child, and she realized her gift for insight and psychic vision. Ruth studied philosophy at the University of Illinois in 1966 to 1970, and you have been based in Minneapolis since
87, but I was the original psychic at the original Renaissance Fair here. I had come up from Chicago, and I liked it here.
Really?
Even though it snowed that June.
You hung out with Puke and Snot, did you?
Yeah, they were there. Yeah, I hung out more with the gypsy jewelry and,
That's a better choice.
And picked my heather and my verbena.
Puke and Snot are this comedy duo at the Renaissance Fair who are a fixture. They're still there, right? Or
I haven't been back.
In? I think maybe they might be replaced, kind of like Lassie. You just bring in another dog.
When there was no longer mead and they had Coca-Cola, I'm out.
I think that's wise. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Ruth, we're happy to have you on the show. And the idea came over dinner where Adger and I were talking a little bit about spirituality, and you talked a little bit about as a child, you felt, Adger, that you could see light. You could physically, tangibly see that, correct?
Yes.
And that led us towards talking about some kind of otherworldly, other spiritual types of things. So I reached out to Ruth, and Ruth is here to talk a little bit about, the spiritual side, the other side, the hidden side of Adger's talents. Yeah. So, Ms. Lordan, how do you want to start?
Well, I'm going to start by what you said. You came, you saw, you worked. When I was going to law school in Louisiana and I saw a sign that said palm reader wanted at the bottom of the cup tea room, I went in, got the job, and changed everything and became a palm reader. Now, you can see what I look like. So people assumed I was Creole. I didn't even know what that was. And they taught me all kinds of fun things. I had a good time.
Seriously? And did you go down to the funeral or the graveyards much at that point?
Marie LeBeau, that's why I have the scar on my body. She came into me. She's my friend.
Oh, shit,
anyway, work is what the people do. Now, as we all know, many cultures do not want their pictures taken because you can steal their spirit. Mm-hmm. When I do readings for people's dogs or animals or things that have passed, I use conjure because I think that's the safest way. In fact, I wouldn't even do medium readings until after menopause. I wasn't going to let something come in that I didn't want. And so the spirit is in that photo. Now, interesting what you're saying with the electronics, because now it's a lot harder for the people you're photographing because they have to project the energy, not just, have you bring it out in them, which is just magic. Now, I did take a sneaky look at I'm going to call you Dr. Adger because I see you as a professor. You're going to be teaching. You're going to be a university professor. You're going to share your gifts. The UN wants to do something with you, but I don't know if they pay their bills on time. I saw some lines in your hand, and I'd like to see them again because I'm going to show you. Yeah. See how these destiny lines, you have a few of them here, 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 here? That's how you are able to take people's spirits in. Through these. But your mind line, people like to say love, head, life. I like body, mind, spirit. Your mind is strong so the spirits don't come and control you. You can control them. So you're able to photograph so many people. You see the veil, you see their mothers, their fathers. You could have been a writer, but you write through the work that you do. I'm seeing blue all around you, so you must love photographing by the water and the ocean. You need the water. You changed, you used to be shy, then you got out with people. These days, you have a jealous bone. You're possessive of what you are and who you were before. You were a lot mellower, a lot more laid back, very balanced. You're able to see all parts of things. Your temper, we don't want to rile you up. Look at that long lifeline. He's going to live a long time. People don't influence you, but you can adapt. You connect with the spirits you always have. There's a deep, deep voice and connection from your mother, who is saying she always knew you could do it. She says she used to want to draw. She used to want to take the pencil. She wanted to be an artist. So she wants to say you got it from her. But she says your father would never let me. She couldn't develop that. But she liked to draw. She had the art. And she likes to say you get that from her. It's just, people have come. You've got somebody that you mentored. There was one person you mentored who's become successful. You've taken under your wing. And at this point, you've just lived life. And, don't listen to all this stuff out there. Find your passion, your purpose, about yourself. You're fine. You know who you are. You do have to watch, and it doesn't make sense because your body looks healthy, you're thin. But you do have to watch some of that diabetes nonsense. Whatever. Yes, the right foods heal that. My cousin, they had a shop in Los Angeles, long story. Dr. Sebi used to go there. I'm not so sure about his cures because she died at 56, but, there's another cousin that's 106. He's got it right. So, interesting for you. You got to watch all the diabetes and the houses. You like having a big house. You don't want to live something small. You're lazy like me. You're not going to clean it. It's a lot of work. But you do have to have your water. You have to have everything. You're simple. You're simple that way. I'm not so sure you have a green thumb. I don't know if these may not quite grow for you. Somewhere there are 4 people who are like children to you. I don't know if they're your natural children or you actually have had 4 people that you've mentored and things, but there's been 4. Are you finally warming up to pets and animals and taking some pictures of them, horses, and finally warming up to our animal relatives?
Yeah, well, I grew up with animals.
Yeah, you're finally warming up to taking their photos.
Did you not like animals? Did you?
I always loved animals. I grew up with animals. Okay. I always felt that I had a connection to animals.
Oh, we didn't photograph them yet. You got to start doing that. Yeah.
No, but, cats particularly, if they like you, theyll come close to you. Mm-hmm. If they don't, they stay away from you. Mm-hmm. And I've always had a really strong spirit with cats. They always jump up on my lap and look at me.
Really?
Just people say, my cat doesn't jump on anybody, But I have that ever since I was a kid. I always had.
They're drawn to you, but you got to start photographing them.
No, I'm not photographing them.
Yeah, they want their spirits captured too.
Oh, okay.
You're getting an assignment.
And there's an interesting thing these days. I kind of believe it. They say these are the end times, the Messiah is coming. Now, there is a group of rabbis that say that in the end times, all good souls need to be here on the planet. But there aren't enough bodies for all the souls. So they say that people are being born with more than one soul. That's why the kids are so great at so many different things. I've taken it a step further, and I've said, because you see, some of the animals that are being born these days are also some of those good souls. That's why they're so like people.
So you're saying that the end times are not far, and
Well,
as
I'm saying
evidence,
what
good
they
souls
say.
are present.
And who knows what far means to those people,
Fair
in those terms. But animal spirits are it'd be interesting for you to photograph them now because they really can be captured differently than the past. They have they have human traits, but you've got that. You capture everything.
So what do you think, Adger, as far as that
That's
segment?
interesting. I never heard that before, but I've always had a really good connection with animals.
And I brought something fun because seeing in visions, I brought a crystal ball. Just have fun. Look inside and see what you receive. See, as a photographer, I'm putting the black because you block out the light. And you must have been amazing because it was so hard with black and white photographs. A lot of my clients and African-American friends, I've worked with celebrities, complained that nobody could get the lighting right in the photography. You probably could do that. Just see if you see anything in a crystal ball. Have fun.
Right, he's taking a look right now.
You receive it.
Adger is gazing deeply into the crystal ball.
Yeah, you receive it. It comes to you. And in your case, being so powerful, much more than me, you can probably project into it.
He's deep. He's looking. There may be something that's happening, some energy that is moving around. This is very much like golf announcing as he approaches the fourth green. He's looking very confident.
I see a smile that could bring on tears. Something just went deep in your heart. That's the thing. This can open your soul. Staring in this can open your soul. Because you do have two sadnesses there. There's two deaths that have affected you, and that sadness gets to you. So let's go beyond that deeper and bring joy.
All right. And this is a legitimate experience. You don't have to make anything up, Adger. If it's not resonating with you, we can call Ruth out. But
oh yeah,
I don't know. I do see something happening here. What's happening within the glass?
Energy. I just see energy.
Yeah. Yes, I feel the spirit moving in my bones.
Yeah, I mean, I see energy.
Yeah.
I don't see people or things.
It's
feel of
people.
energy. Yeah.
We are energy. You went beyond the.
Yeah.
All matter is energy. It's the strangest thing about, if I may say, a certain group of political people who turn their noses up at anything that is spiritual or that is energy related as existence is.
Oh, I've had evangelical Christians protesting against me, and the people and they're also like certain, like the hippie liberal crowd has also been. Oh, I don't believe in that.
But Einstein proved mathematically.
It's not something to believe in. First of all, it exists.
Exactly, like Plato
energy
said.
Exists in everything.
Like Plato said, whether you believe in the sun or not, it exists.
It's right. It's
Truth
there. Whether
is
you
hard
believe
to
in it
find
or not.
these days.
It's not about whether you believe in it or not. It's there. Energy runs everything. The whole universe runs on energy, and we are all energy.
All things.
Some people, they might be down. Other people might be. Other people. And even to sounds that the ear can't even hear.
Dog whistle energy level.
Everything is filled with energy.
Yeah. I have a couple of Aura cameras, and they used to be Polaroid film. And then, of course, when that person from here bought Polaroid and messed it up. But it was interesting. I would take the photo with the Aura.
Right.
And people would be blank. Turned out they were on Prozac. There was nothing coming out of them.
Oh,
and I've seen people on heroin, on LSD. I mean, nothing affected like that Prozac. And I didn't know what Prozac was.
Right.
I was like, you're blank. And then antidepressants. There's no aura.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
interesting. Yeah. Because there's aura in everything. I mean, plants, all of that radiates energy. That's what those photographs were all about, photographing the energy around things,
The none when they were...
None, wow.
Okay, question. All right, so and this is out of nowhere, but all right. So Prozac eliminates pain. It eliminates existential suffering. That's kind of its fundamental root. Would you say that aura requires suffering, or is there pure, unhindered aura and energy that you've seen?
I would say that energy is energy, and we color it our own way. I don't know. In that sense, that's interesting. What's happening with the Prozac is it blocks.
Right.
It blocks the part that interprets the feeling. So it's just the energy, but it doesn't go to the nerves. It blocks the nerves that would sense the pain. So the energy can go through the muscles and the blood, but it doesn't. If it doesn't touch a nerve, there won't be pain.
Fair. So there it is.
I think that's how
pain
it works.
Generates aura and energy. What color is Adger's aura?
I don't really see auras like that. I see his soul. He's got red around him. He's getting ready to do more things. But I look, looking in there, he controls things. He's like in this world. He's a pro. He's had years.
The crystal ball just went over.
You've had years of controlling that and projecting it. Interestingly enough, though, because you projected it small into a camera lens, what would it be like if you started projecting it high?
That's painting.
Yes, let's talk a little bit about
That's
that.
what got me to painting. I wanted to get away from here to...
Yeah.
If you haven't, by the way, dear listener, taken a look, and Adger, you have, is there like AdgerCowans.com, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
AdgerCowans.com. And you can take a look at your photography is there and your painting is there as well. Because that was, and you've painted since the 60s, you said, right?
Yeah.
I mean, photography, your primary
Yeah.
thing. But as you move forward, you're getting still more kind of expression on the canvas,
Yeah.
right? What medium do you use?
Acrylic, mostly. Yeah. Because it dries fast.
Yeah, which allows you to actually kind of move along more quickly on that.
Yeah.
I got to do a little plug, by the way. So a number of your pieces are up right now that can be seen and can be purchased at online auction, which is a giant deal, right? And that site, as I recall, is blackartauction.com.
Yes.
All right. Take a look. How long, do you know how long that's going to be online? Through July 15th. 13th. Thank you very much. I have a little person whispering in my ear, which is fabulous. So seriously, go to blackartauction.com, even if you're not going to bid, to take a look at the work you've done. The work that you've done, by the way, the art, the little figures, they're like tiny little Jackson Pollock-like figures.
Little characters, I call them.
Little characters? Talk a tiny bit about that.
Well, they read as little energy figures or animals or people, because these little painted structures come from the way I put paint on the canvas, and some fall on the plastic I use, and I peel them off and stick them down.
Really?
And they become all kinds. The children are the most active in interpreting these. You know, adults say, "Well, what is it?" I said, "Look at it. Look at it." And after a while, I said, "Oh, it looks like, a parade of people." And I said, "Yeah, okay, good. You're getting there."
And they are. Ruth, what do you see? I mean, can you close your eyes and envision kind of what we're talking about, right? So what would you say spiritually Adger is trying to bring out of himself in moving to more focus, if I may say so, on some of his acrylics?
I'm feeling that he is truly trying to connect himself with the universe, his higher self. He's honed in with people, and you've connected. Now he wants to connect on the bigger level. In Buddhism, they might even call that being a first streamer. You're ready to, connect with all of it.
Do you feel that way, Adger?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Expanding.
Yeah.
Which is key. Is a lot of the what's your favorite color to paint with? Blue?
Blue is one of my favorite colors.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's all around him.
Did you,
Well,
do you know the mystery?
every note has a color.
Yeah, right. I mean, it all resonates within a certain certain part of the spectrum.
Color frequency, yes.
So, are you familiar with the mystery of the color blue not being "quote unquote" discovered?
Yes.
It's weird. All right, Ruth, are you familiar with it? I'll set the table. So, the color blue appears to have been the last color that humankind has named. You look through ancient Latin and Greek texts and things, there's no reference to the color blue at all.
That makes sense.
Why?
Because blue was the sky and the ocean, so they might have thought that's the baseline, and everything else is a color.
So if blue resonates with you most, and so you'll assume the color existed before it was named, do you think that his pulling that out is in any way kind of reflective of humanity's lack of understanding of the larger color palette? Did that make sense, or was that a word salad? That was a word salad, wasn't it?
Adger is going back into, I'm going to call him Dr. Adger because that's what I say. He's going to the core, this in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly enough, we know the beginning was a void, was dark, but in the beginning, the earth was blue, water, sky. It met. It was blue. So he's going back to the beginning. And then it broke down into the colors.
Edgar, give us your thoughts on what you're hearing here. Is it
Interesting.
Isn't it, though? I know, right?
Yeah, because I've always have been drawn to blue. I was told by a psychic once that he knew my spirit from the world of blue, that there are different colored worlds. There are worlds that exist in different colors. And he was saying that he knew my spirit from the blue world. But I've always been drawn to blue.
Yeah, that's what we saw in the reading. You had blue. Although the aura now red, so because you're projecting out, and that's good. But then you get, even Plato talked about that. You get beyond the colors or a breakup. You go beyond anything that we can
imagine and
Yeah,
conceive
and-
of.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
And yeah.
I once heard someone say that. Okay, so obviously, like jellyfish or something can see like a billion colors or whatever it is, or way more, rods and cones, and it became a question of if aliens were to arrive and take a look. So what we see as gray is probably colors we just can't necessarily interpret. And they arrive, and they're going to see the colors that we can't see and think that we are, in general, the people with the least taste in the entire freaking universe.
Well,
But as it, thanks, man. I appreciate the laughing. But that goes back to, I mean, it's an interesting thing to think about. Your photography is primarily black and white, and those are shades of gray. Could you imagine? I mean, if you imagine like a psychedelic color palette being placed on your photography, what do you think that would do to your work?
I have no idea.
it would be enlivened. It would wake it up.
Right? I mean, would it? Or is it the depth comes from the darkness and the absence of color and the purity of it?
Well, I think when you close your eyes and you go into black, black is a connection of all colors. And white is the reflection of all color. The dark hole they find has all colors in it, the black holes.
Right. All right.
That's the void from what Lilith created.
But black is light.
Yeah.
The energy of black is light.
Yeah.
Oh, that is true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. All right, we're running short on time, and I had one thing I wanted to ask, and something I brought up, which is, Edger, if there had been one question through your career that you wish you had been asked and never were, what's the question?
Why an artist?
Well, that is a good question.
Why are you an artist, or what is it that makes you feel or want to be an artist? And what is an artist?
Well, I love both those questions. Therefore, Adger, why an artist? And screw it. Answer your own question, please. I need to have another bit of bourbon.
Well, I don't think that I ever thought of myself as an artist, first of all. It was only after I started working and people would relate to things that I did, they made me think that I was an artist. And then I realized, well, what is an artist? You know, Da Vinci was an artist. When I was young, I can't draw. I'm not Da Vinci. I'm not, Michelangelo and all these people. I can't relate to that. But what really dawned upon me at about 50 years old, I realized that I was, interpolating or reflecting spirit that had nothing to do with me. I just had a vibration. Maybe it came from my family, my mother and father, the energy that they had, that they gave me of love. And what I was doing was reflecting back the love that I got. And in doing that, I interpret life through love. And that love energy was, it became, well, you're an artist because you're interpreting and people are identifying with what you're doing. So you must be what people call an artist. I didn't call myself an artist, but I kind of figured out that that's what an artist is. Most artists are reflectors of spirit.
Wow. That's absolutely fabulous. And you're comfortable with that, and you're driven towards it. And you're...
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been honestly one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. Speaking with Adger Cowans is a moment that I wish everyone could experience, but they can't. But I have you. So freaking awesome. So, Adger, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ruth, thank you for being on the show. RuthLordan.com?
Yeah, Lordan. We pronounce it so you can spell it right.
Lordan, sorry.
Lordan.
Lordan, beautiful. This has been Drink in the Style. I want to do a quick shout-out to Deborah Altan at the University of Minnesota Archives. Ladies and gentlemen, please send a message to me or anyone else. Come out, support Deborah's efforts to bring as much of Adger's work to Minneapolis as we can. This is Drink in the Style. I wish you all good luck.
La 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 la.